Hello students, I have created this video to help walk you through your interactive online textbook. This is going to show you step by step what you need to do to use this resource to its fullest. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the internet and we are going to type in the address, which is my.hrw.com. Notice there's no www on it. Now this will take us to our login page. I have given you your username and password on a strip of paper. You need to write that on the first page of your agenda. You also need to take it home and write it somewhere at home so you will have it. So I'm going to type in my login. Notice I am not capitalizing any of the letters. I'm going to type it in just as it is written. Alright, here we go. This is your first page. This is the interactive online edition. This is the main link you will use. Every once in a while I may assign a quiz or a test for you to take online, and you may use this link to go to those. So the first thing we're going to do is click Go to Interactive Online Textbook. Here we go. What you will see is you will have a unit or chapter where you can select. You also can select your section. Book pages, e-activities, and student resources are going to be the main places you look. So we are going to start by going down to chapter 18, which is what we've been studying. We just finished section 1, so we're going to move on to section 2, and we're going to click Go. Alright, so the first thing that pops up are the book pages, and the book pages on here are the exact same as they are in the hard copy. We are going, you can read through these. You'll notice the pictures are all the same, no changes. About the only difference, and this is a positive, is that as you read through, you can click on the vocabulary words. Now if I click on a vocabulary word, it will give me the glossary definition. I can click the audio button and it will play.
Carnivore, an organism that eats animals.
Okay, so as you can see, that's a great resource for you to use. Now, if I want to go forward or back with my pages, I simply hit Next or Previous. If you know the page number you want to go to, you can type it in here. We're going to go back to the beginning. Now, if I assign you a chapter to read, you will read through it just as it's written. Some of you may like to listen to the textbook as you read. This is a very helpful resource. So if you would like to listen as you read, you're going to click on E-Activities. And you're going to come right here to where it says Textbook Audio. And Section 2, Living Things, we're going to click the English version. You could do the Spanish version if you like.
Section 2,
now,
Living Things Need Energy.
Now, once it starts playing, I'm going to go back to my book pages and I can read along. So let's see how that works.
As you read this section, keep the following objectives in mind. Describe the functions of producers, consumers, and decomposers in an ecosystem. Distinguish between a food chain and a food web.
Okay, try to ignore the funny picture of my husband that just popped up on the screen. But now you see how that works. So if I wanted to listen as I went, I would do Everything is Connected. I would click the English version, and then I would go back to the book pages and I would listen. Okay, now another great resource we have here are the visual concepts. Visual concepts are excellent ways to preview the material before you read. They're also an excellent review of the major concepts before a test or quiz. So let's click on one of these from section 2 and see what they're all about. I'm going to click play here.
Producers are organisms that make their own food. Plants, algae, and some bacteria are producers. Most producers use energy from sunlight to make their food. Some bacteria use energy from chemical reactions to make their food. Consumers are organisms that eat other organisms or organic matter instead of making their own food. All animals are consumers. So are fungi, most protists, and some bacteria. Some consumers eat producers. These consumers are called herbivores. Other consumers eat both producers and other consumers. These consumers are called omnivores. Some consumers only eat other consumers. These consumers are called carnivores. As you can see from the diagram, Energy flows through an ecosystem, moving from producers to consumers.
Okay, so that is a great explanation of the major concepts of each section. I highly recommend you use those. Now the next resource you're going to find valuable are the concept maps. So let's click on this and see what these are all about. Now these are great. You simply have all the keywords over here and the concept map is organized for you. Now what you'll do is you'll click on them and drag them over to the concept map. So for instance, if I know that this starts with the environment is organized by, I click and drag it to the circle. Now if I'm correct, it will stay in the circle and turn green. If I pick something that is maybe incorrect, for instance if I try and put sunlight here, it won't stay, it snaps back. This is a great way to practice the concepts. Go through, practice. Don't just drag until you get it right. Pay attention and read. I also recommend that you write these down in your notes when you're finished. Another good resource here are the virtual investigations. Sometimes I will assign these as homework or we will do them in the labs at school. I'm just going to click on this one briefly to give you an idea of what they're all about.
Hello, Dr. Dion Walker here. Welcome to the Ecology Lab. In this lab, scientists study the relationships between
Okay, so we get the idea here. That will walk you through step by step what you need to do to complete the virtual investigations. And that's a great way to explore concepts in the chapter. Alright, so the next thing I want to show you are the student resources. Student resources are great. Now you're not going to use all of these, but you could definitely use some of them. For instance, you have vocabulary activities here. Those are good. Puzzles and twisters. These are good for reviewing vocabulary. Down here you have assessment resources. You can use these to make a practice test. For instance, down here the CRCT preparation. These are very good to help review parts of the book. I also will sometimes use these when I create tests. So you want to review these as much as possible. Under the section resources, you're going to see a lot of different resources that you can use. Directed readings are helpful. You would use these as you read the book and they follow right along with the reading, and you would fill in the answers. You could print this off, fill in the answers, and it makes a great note page. It's also great if you miss something in school. For instance, you were absent the day we did this section. You may want to go through and fill this out just to give yourself a little more of a review. There's also interactive textbooks. This is a great way to review the reading as well. If you have trouble reading the textbook, these are a little shorter. They're also a little more concise, and they go over, again, all of those major concepts that we're talking about. I recommend that you look through these, see what works for you, and you use them. Again, this section is kind of up to you. What do you want to use? How do you study? What works for you? If teasers work well for you, use them. If practicing for tests ahead of time work for you, then please use them. Alright, so there's one more thing I want to show you before I finish. I'm almost done. And that is how to do the section reviews online. Now as you read, you'll go through, and when you get to the end of a section, you will see the section review. Now we did these in class and you wrote them down on your own paper. You could do them online. You click on the section review, you go through, you type in your answers here, okay? And then when you're done, you're simply going to hit print preview. At the top, you want to type your name followed by your class. For instance, if I was in the biologist, I would type bio. And then you click print. Your answers would show up right here in these boxes, and you would also have the questions. I could grade them, give them back, and you also have a good review for when those tests come around. Okay, so again, big things here. Pick your chapter, pick your section, use the book pages, use the e-activities, use the student resources. I hope this has given you a good introduction to the online textbook. I hope that you all use this to your benefit. If you have any more questions, please feel free to ask.